Hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers. My name is Lara and we're here at Bite Me Burger in DIFC. Now joining me this morning is a very, very special guest, and of course we're talking about none other than Paula Newby, the CEO of Predixa. Hello and a very warm welcome. How are you doing, Paula?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure to have you with us this morning on the show.
To be here.
We're going to start off by asking you to tell us a little bit more about who Paula Newby is, a little bit about background, where you're originally from, how long you've been here in the region.
Okay, well, I'm English. I was born in London. I've been here for about 6 years, but time flies, extraordinary. I have two sons who are 23 and 26. I've been married for 32 years.
Oh my God, that's a lifetime.
You get less for murder. Remember that.
That's true.
No, I actually followed my husband out here. He had a position and I came, and I thought to myself, what am I going to do? And so never been one to sit around and wait for something to happen. So I thought, right, get out there and make it happen for me.
Well done. And today we have Predixa, which is one of the leading companies here in the region, and you are the female entrepreneur behind it. Tell us a little bit more about Predixa as well as the different business activities that you're involved in.
Okay, so Predixa is a cloud-based application. It's AI-driven, and it's targeted towards particularly executive teams to help them with their continual innovation program to drive their increased revenues, profitability, performance, and really to drive their business forward. But it's AI driven, so very, very exciting to be in that space, which is so leading edge. And we got into the AI Venture Labs, which is an accelerator that's just near to here in the Emirates Towers.
I've been there.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
In Area 2071.
Yeah.
And that's part sponsored by Dubai Futures Foundation, which is a government-run organisation, and then also Microsoft. So it's been a real wonderful journey, and we're still in it at the moment.
I'm so happy to hear you say that. Now, Paula, when we speak of clients, who is it that you target as your clientele?
Well, as I said, we're aiming towards the executive teams, and our application is not industry specific. So we look at 17 different aspects of any organisation. So it can work for public sector, it can work for private sector, it can work for NGOs. So it's taking a holistic approach of any organisation, but we're particularly targeting CEOs and the executive team because it's them that need the help. But I mean, there was a fantastic piece of information survey done recently by McKinsey. They looked at 200 organisations and they found that in the current pandemic, a staggering 90% of chief execs felt that they needed that COVID would mean that they would have to radically change the way they operate. So by using Predixa, this and AI driven, it's very fast, it gives great insight into the real areas of focus that they should focus upon in order to drive change, and also that will help to increase revenues, profitability, etc. So it's very timely on that.
Exactly. I'm sure a lot of people will be requiring your services out there. Hopefully. For sure, definitely. Now, getting back to IWES, the International Women's Entrepreneur Society, tell us a little bit more about how you came across this amazing platform for women, and what are your views on this platform?
Well, I came across it because a very dear friend of mine, who is also a female entrepreneur, I think you spoke to her, Kirsten.
Of course, what a wonderful lady.
Yes, from Rising Phoenix Consultancy. Lovely lady. Yeah. So full of energy and positivity. I adore her. We work together. And she contacted me and said, you've got to look at these people. You know, they're right up your street, Paula. So I went onto the website and I saw Kadala and I saw the website, and I mean, I've been in business and an entrepreneur for many years, and I just feel that I'm a great believer in paying it forward. I'm a great believer in givers gain, you know. And so if I can help other female entrepreneurs to find success and fulfillment that gives them the balance in their life to be able to work with everything that they have to, whether it be the family, whether it be their husbands, whether it be their colleagues, whatever, and to find their vision, then that would be great. And this is what you guys do. So I'm thrilled to be part of it.
I'm so happy to hear you say that. Now, moving on to the female entrepreneurs out there that are setting up their own businesses or that are already established and have a name out there. What advice do you have for them?
Well, I think there are two key characteristics to being a successful entrepreneur. One of them is resilience, and one of them is adaptability. And both those characteristics are bang on trend now, because we have to be resilient, and the way to get through this pandemic is to be adaptable. And I think also that women are generally resilient and adaptable.
So true. So true. So things that we have to deal with in our day-to-day lives.
It's all the balls we have to juggle.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I started my entrepreneurial life. The key sort of trigger for me was actually when I was made redundant. I think that happens to a lot of entrepreneurs, because you need that. We all get up in the morning, we go through the routine, we go to work, we get paid every month, and then we can make our plans, and then before you know it, you're on that treadmill and nothing's changing.
Yeah.
And then something happens, whether it be, a significant event such as divorce or death or redundancy, and you have to take stock and think, just a minute, I'm going to have to rethink things. And I will say that I have got a very supportive husband who is also of an entrepreneurial mindset. And for many years, he was what I would describe as an intrapreneur, an entrepreneur within an organisation. So he's always been entrepreneurial. So he really encouraged me. And it also meant that, having been forced to take stock and reevaluate, I had 2 young children, and I thought, right, I've been on this treadmill, and it's a chance for me to break that, spend more time with the kids, and just take a new direction. And this is what women have to do. Obviously for women who choose not to have children, theirs will be a slightly different rationale. But for those of us who do have the demands of family, entrepreneurship can be a fantastic way of balancing things. But I think the first important thing to work out is, the security you have in terms of finances, work out how long those are going to last. And then, if you want to be an entrepreneur, then it's about that wonderful expression, necessity is the mother of invention. If you can see a need, work out how you're going to meet that need, how long it's going to take, and then how long it's going to cost, and then double it. Double the time, double the cost, because it will take twice as long as you think, it will cost twice as much as you think. But having worked out those things, then how does that fit within my finances? How can I, am I stable enough to be able to manage that? And as I said, if you're lucky enough to have a partner who can support you, that's fantastic. And I was that. Very lucky. Absolutely. I think having that supportive partner is 50% of the entire thing. It is. It plays a major role for sure. Now, being the wonderful, beautiful, successful female entrepreneur that you are, Paula, what would you say has been the greatest obstacle or the greatest challenge that you've had to face in your journey? I suppose it's keeping self-belief. Because it's a very rocky road, and I've talked about being resilient and adaptable, and I think there are times in society and the way that we're brought up, there's a fine line between being, I was talking about this the other day, the terminology that's used to describe men in business, like assertive is a positive thing, isn't it, for a man?
Absolutely.
Assertive in a woman is, you're a bit bossy, really, aren't you? It's a negative. And so I think one of the challenges for women is just to maintain that self-belief that you can do it when people will perhaps say, oh, well, what about children? You know, or, well, how do you cope with your husband? I've often wondered, why is it that nobody ever asks a man, how do you manage, you know,
your family life and your career?
How do you manage that?
They never get asked that question, but we do
all the time.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you're being challenged, people are perhaps trying to, you know, be less than encouraging. I think that's the biggest challenge, is just to keep that self-belief, go back to what it was that started, and you know, look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm gorgeous and I'm going to do it. You know, that's the sort of, you know, reaffirm that. That's the biggest challenge.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for sharing your views on that. Now, last but not least, what message do you have for all the viewers that are watching us, male and female, right now? What would you say to them regarding Predixa? Do you have a message to deliver?
Well, I would say that, as I mentioned earlier, right now the big challenge is how to survive. And the way you can do that is by adapting. And it's about looking at every aspect of your business to see where you can make tiny little improvements. Because, you know, if you take a 1% improvement every day of the year, I think the maths work out to be 37.48% improvement, you know, just tiny incremental improvements. But you have to know where to make those improvements. And with Predixa, this using AI, it gives the insight very, very quickly to find out where to focus, and then it helps you actually drive that innovation program forward. So I would say, you know, it's a challenging time, absolutely, but innovation is the way out. And again, this history shows us that. I was reading a piece recently where the SAP 500, when they looked at all of those organizations back in 2008, those companies that innovated through the crisis, the financial crisis, ended up outperforming their peers by 30% during recovery. So let's grab the opportunity to adapt, but it doesn't have to be massive, strategic transformation. It can be lots and lots of little things here, there, and everywhere, and that's exactly what Predixa does.
I love it. Paula Newby, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for spending some time with us on today's show.
That's lovely.
And wishing you continued growth and success always.
Thank you.
Thank you. I like that. That's a new norm. There you have it, guys. Paula Newby, the CEO of Predixa, telling us all about Predixa, finding out more about herself, her background. It's been extremely interesting. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for. My name is Lara, signing off. Until next time.